Hey guys, and welcome to a rogue tanking build. This build is going to use the preset soul tree Trine have given us, so I'll explain to you the spec we are using, the macros and the abilities. So as this is a preset, it can be used to tank from levels 1 to 60. Obviously it's not the best tanking spec in game, but it's pretty good for leveling and tanking in dungeons. So the spec is called Planar Sentry and mainly fills the Rift Stalker soul, but not completely. It's just missing those 3 points which are damage points. It also has Ranger and Bard as the off souls, or whatever you want to call them. From any level, just create the spec and choose the Planar Sentry, and as you level it, it will tell you where to put your points. So therefore I don't really need to bother going through that for every single level, as the game does it for you, and it would probably take me forever. So there's a spec. I will be leaving a link in the description below in case you cannot see this, which people have been having problems with in my other videos. So make sure that if you want to use the spec and you can't read it from here, just click on that link below. So there's the spec. I'll go through the abilities and macros now. So I'll start with all of the abilities which you will have at level 60, and I'll give a short explanation of each ability and also all the buffs. Okay, so I have two macros which I'll go through in a minute, but they're on my numbers 1 and 2 slot on my ability bar. I then have Guarded Steel, which is a finisher. So I'll go through the 3 finishers that we have now. So Guarded Steel, which will deal some damage and will also increase your armor by 10% for 30 seconds, which is quite useful. Wrath of the Plains, which will reduce hit chance by 5% for 15 seconds on each enemy hit. Sorry, I just needed to clear my throat. And then Power of the Plains, which will increase weapon damage and attack power by 5%. I'll go along the line. We then have Instigate and Planar Attraction, which is you're like making sure that you pull aggro things. So Instigate will force one enemy to attack you for 3 seconds, and Planar Attraction will teleport 5 enemies and force them to attack you for 3 seconds. We then have like our self buffs during fights. So Planar Refuge, which will reduce damage taken by 30%. Scatter the Shadows, which will remove all curses, diseases and poisons, reduces damage by 90%. Painbound Aegis, which gives you a 50% shield of your max health, and then will heal you if the shield is still there. And then Physical Wellness, which will increase all party and raid members' maximum health by 3,200, which can be quite useful. We then have Deferred Death, which is very awesome. Basically, if you get a killing blow within 30 seconds, Deferred Death... Sorry, I just cannot read. Applies Deferred Death if the rogue receives a killing blow within 30 seconds, which will, as it says, absorb damage equal to 50% of the rogue's max health for 15 seconds, which is very nice. Rift Prison, which you usually use on an enemy, which will prevent all actions while granting immunity to all abilities for 6 seconds. You can basically just use this to troll people on bosses and just make it like immune to everything for 6 seconds when it's got like 1 HP. That's quite funny. We then have 2 motifs. Motif of Bravery, which will increase attack power and spell power, and also crit chance. And then Motif of Regen, which will restore a small amount of health to you, but will increase healing received by 5%. We then have 3 cool abilities, like movement abilities. Memory Capture, which will set the rogue's current location, so I'll set it now. God, my FPS is so bad. And then we can use Flashback to go boom, and just teleport straight back to that flashpoint thing, whatever you want to call it. So that's quite useful for pulling bosses especially. And then we have Shadow Shift, which will just teleport you 15 meters forward. And then our final ability, which isn't a buff, is Planar Disruption, which is just a simple interrupt. So our buffs, we have Fanfare of Vigor, which increases endurance, Anthem of Glory increases armor and resists, Planar Splash, which will make your Planar Strike and Phantom Blow deal weapon damage to 10 enemies instead of just the 1, but will reduce the damage, so you should be able to know when to use that. Guardian Phase, which you have to make sure that you have on, otherwise you won't be able to tank. Planar Reversal if you want to. This will just teleport you behind your target when you use Shadow Stalk, Assault or Blitz. And finally Plane-Bound Resilience, which will give you more endurance. Okay, so the two macros we have. The first macro is our tank movement one, which I believe you can make at level 24 if you follow the spec. Macros, that's the one. I just need to find it. It's up here somewhere. There we go, tank movement. Okay, so that's our number 1 ability, which is just all of our movement stuff. So if you watch this, boom, I just teleport to it. That's it. Basically, all three do the same thing. And then the second macro is our damaging abilities, which should be at the end somewhere. Tank attacks, here we go. So we've got Phantom Blow, Rift Disturbance, Planar Strike, which, as I said a moment ago, will this Planar Splash affects it, and then Quick Shot for the ranged attack. So basically, just spam this. Basically, that's all you need to do. I think you can use this at level 16. I may be wrong, but I just checked a moment ago before I made this video, and I'm pretty sure you can use this at level 16 if you follow the spec. So I'll just go through a short rotation. So obviously you probably want to lead in with Shadow Assault because you get extra buffs and shit like that. If you want, you can activate Motive of Bravery and Motive of Regen before you go in, and also any of these buffs here if you wish. Make sure you have all your buffs enabled, all of these up here, and you should be good to go. So go in with your number 1, and then get straight up to 5 points. Power of the Plains, number 1 again for another 2 stacks. Spam that number 2, and then number 3, so your Guarded Steel, and then spam more, eventually getting up to 4 combo points, and then Wrath of the Plains. So pretty simple rotation, to be honest. And then obviously make sure that you use Instigate and Planar Attraction when needed, Interrupt when needed, and that is it. And that's the end of the video. Thanks for watching. Like, subscribe, comment if you wish, and hopefully I'll see you next time. Peace.